And today, a few people use things like hard glass covers or things like that. The problem with those is they're expensive, and they also tend to break and other things like that. So in the early 1930s, Dr. Emmerich started the use of something called plastic sheeting, and that particular sheeting evolved into a rapidly growing industry of types of covers for plants that can be a little bit less expensive and can take a lot of different shapes. When you look at it, some of the first covers were also something called a cloche. Now, some really elaborate cloches came along. In some cases, they were like a little jar of glass that would cover a single plant, and they were mostly used in the house. Some of them had very big decorative etchings on them and things, and some of them can be quite expensive if you went to collect them today, but they'll only cover a single plant. From that, we've gone into our garden, and we found that we can use cloches by taking a plastic milk bottle, a large gallon one, cut the bottom out of it, and put the plastic bottle over the top of each individual plant. But there again, you're still only covering individual plants. And you have to be careful with those. You don't want to get ones that are very obscure, because you want them fairly clear so they'll let the light through. You also do not want to use a plastic bottle that you put some weed killer in, because your plant will bite it right away if you do that. The next thing, and I see my neighbor has one of these, and it's called a cold box. And usually those sometimes are made out of old windows, and a lot of times they're made out of glass. The problem with the glass when you open and close them is they can very easily be broken. And with any of these enclosures, you need to have some ventilation, because you'll find on warm days during the winter, the ventilation is required or the plants can overheat. Ground covers, you can use some small ground covers made out of a fairly hard plastic, like a plexiglass that you would put over something. They're fairly small, they're easily moved, but the problem with them is they're small enough that these plants, when they grow in the winter, the leaves and other things may touch the sides of those because they're so small, and then they'll freeze to those plants, and then it ruins your crop when all the leaves freeze to them. The next more small one, but larger and large enough to use is called a row tunnel. Now you can easily build those. What you do is you build them out of plastic pipe, probably 3/4 inch. You bend it over, and then you lay the plastic over the top of it. You need to leave some area, either the ends open or the sides, so you can pull them back. You can actually clip the plastic from each hoop that you make to the hoop by using either a piece of 1-inch pipe that's been cut in half, short piece, or you can actually go down to the office supply store and use one of those large clips for clipping papers together to clip them as well. Those are good for crop rotation because they are easily moved. And then probably the bigger ones that you can put more stuff in and still be able to move are like mini greenhouses. They also are made of plastic. They're also made out of the same plastic pipe. They usually have a wooden frame on the bottom to provide them with some stability so that they won't blow away. And when you put those in there, it gives you quite a bit of space to plant a lot of plants. You can pick those up and move them from place to place as you go by picking up the ends of the 2x4s or 2x6s or whatever you use, and then moving them to another place. And what you do for crop rotation is it's very easy to plant some plants in there. When they're mature and you harvest those, then you move them to the next area, plant some more plants in there, and move those as well. Now I'm going to turn it over to Barbara, and she's going to talk to you about storage and some use of these vegetables and some other aspects of the vegetables.